Can I be a tiny bit of an asshole for a second? And yeah, okay, never mind. Because the way I speak, I've been taught to try and talk to everybody. So because you're all the way over there, this is going to be like the finals at Wimbledon. For me, if anybody wants to move into the middle, my chiropractor would thank you. If you don't, that's fine. Your chances of a free book are just bursting into flames. So this. Oh, can you keep it down? What the hell? There you go. Right? That's more intimate. Okay, so I go around the country. I'm telling people about the business of touring, the state of the music business. And in the course of my travels over the last year, I maybe visited 50 or 60 schools, music business courses, whatever. Been over to Scandinavia. The Scandinavian government keeps flying me backwards and forwards, so great. But one of the things I tell people about any information that you're given from anybody, I mean, it's true in life, but in the music business, it's kind of 10 times more true. Music business in America 2008, it's 100 times more true, is to consider the source. That's what that screen is about. We call ketchup sauce in England, so that's my little ADD reminder screen. So I couldn't tell people to consider the source, consider the source, consider the source without letting you know something about me. So here's a little minute movie about what I've done.
My time with Republicans Limited, picking Johnny Rotten of the Sex Pistols, to the Suicide Girls, an American Bandstand.
Hello, what's your name, please?
Martin Atkins.
Welcome.
To MTV. From Nine Inch Nails to Pigface. Since 1979, I've been at the cutting edge, the forefront of dangerous, innovative, alternative music. And I've stepped out from behind the drum kit, and now I'm standing behind the podium. From innovator to educator, I've been teaching at Columbia in Chicago for the last 4 years, and I've guest lectured at the MIDI school in Beijing. Thank you for your time. It was nice to talk to you.
Right. So my independent label is 20 years old this year. I have a recording studio, a merchandise company, a publishing company. For those of you who know about music publishing, I control 3,500 songs on both sides, the master rights and the publishing rights. I published this book myself, just got back from China, signed a bunch of bands, made an awesome album with some Tibetan singers and scratch DJs. Just finishing the documentary, going back over there with 5 cameras. I have a sound library that just came out through Cakewalk called Beat Fetish. And I'm the father of 3, soon to be 4. Okay, so that's my shit. Was that for the 20 years of the independent label, or because I've shagged my wife? So, strategies. And forgive me if I dot around a bit. I'm hopelessly ADD. Just had a cup of coffee, and things, unfortunately, keep changing in the world and in the music business. Which is fine if you don't care. But I care, so if this is a little bit jumbled, sorry. We all know about Radiohead, apart from the fact that they're crap. They're giving their music away. They're not just giving their music away, right? They've left that little hammer dangling, the underwear made out of the same material they make cheese graters out of. That gilt underwear, pay what you feel, which is genius, because people are like, what do I feel? How come? Oh, I'm sending you $100. It's just a fraction of what you mean to. Right? People are crying into their laptops, and of course, other people are still going. Yeah, I'll pay exactly what I feel. But now here I am, 80th lecture, talking about Radiohead, right? That's brilliant. Prince is giving his music away to anybody that will stand still long enough for him to stick it in their pockets or any place he can stick it. MySpace. Anybody's... what do we think about MySpace? It's brilliant. It's the answer. What are there, 5 million bands on MySpace? Or is it 3 million? I don't know. But I think MySpace is like did you know I was going to be moving? MySpace is like a 5-mile long field of corn, you know? And every stick of corn is exactly the same height. So if you're on MySpace and that's your solution to anything, then my question is, well, what is your miracle grow? Because you need your little stick of corn to be 4 inches higher than everybody else's stick of corn. I think it's only a solution if you're doing 10 other things. It's like record stores. If you can find one, you can't just send your posters to a record store and hope they will put your posters up. They're not going to unless you give them a reason. If you're touring and you're playing, they'll put your posters up. If you're touring and doing things, people will check out your MySpace page. It's like anything. If you're doing things, things happen. If you're not doing anything, nothing happens. What's this? Q something. Exactly. The hell's going on with that? This was like last night they were supposed to launch. It's all free. Like, well, yeah, it was anyway, right? But it's all free and it's legal. I think they have some legal difficulties right now, but it's changing. The interesting thing about Radiohead giving their music away, 2 days after Radiohead, I think Trent Reznor started to give something away. He was working on an album. And my response was like, oh, yawn. You're giving your music away? That's like so old, right? So now we have to give our music away just to be on the same level as Radiohead, even though now we're followers instead of leaders, right? And I asked bands across the country, well, what's your strategy? How has your strategy changed because of Radiohead? And they're like, well, it's crap. Okay, but how has your strategy changed? Well, your strategy needs to change. Everything's changing all the time. Here's the interesting bit. The Mean Fiddler, an organization in England, controls 28 live venues, and an internet company that has a label, a management company, and something else, bought the venues to use them as early warning radar. And I saw an interview with the guy who put the deal together, and he said this was great because the venues wouldn't just act as an early warning device, but in the event that they had 3 bands that were all selling a decent amount of tickets for, say, a Tuesday night show, they would decide which band to sign based on alcohol sales. Not, is the lead singer charismatic? Are the songs any good? Track 3, listen to the sitar, it's amazing. Nobody cares. Anybody plan to go into A&R? No? Well, good. Because that job doesn't exist. Anybody plan to go into sound engineering, production? Right, okay. But I talk to people graduating from wherever all the time who are like, yeah, we're moving to LA. Why? We're going to work in a recording studio. What recording studio? Like, oh. Like, what about, do you want to work at the Hit Factory in New York? Yes, I've heard of that. I'd love to work at that studio. It's not a studio. It's being turned into condominiums, where in some kind of Saturday Night Live, horrible karmic thing, all of the artists that recorded at the Hit Factory, their gold albums are in the foyer and their music is playing in the elevator. It's like, all right. So there's Q tracks. Don't know what's happening with that, but it's happening and changing some things. Strategies, remember? Strategies. There's my number one strategy. And for anybody in a band sitting in the van, revving the engine, not a strategy. Furry dice on the rearview mirror, not a strategy. Although I have had meetings about what color dice we should have. You need a strategy. You need a strategy for anything. You need a strategy for Thanksgiving dinner, right? You need a strategy for your career, wherever you're headed. Selling ketchup, you need a strategy. States are increasing the tolls now. Never mind gasoline, which is like through the roof. I just saw this morning. Lots of things are affecting your ability to move around. Here's a strategy. You might be able to help me out. I don't know what band this guy's in, this song guy, but never take your country to war unless you're sure of the outcome. There's a strategy. Any independent entrepreneurial business in the US, anywhere, 2008, it's warfare. Touring is warfare. And it's punctuality. It's being on time. It's showing that respect that's a number one. So, when I read that, I thought, it's easy for this guy to say, right? I'm in the real world. How can I make that apply? It's impossible. But it isn't impossible, and you have to conduct yourself like that. Because when you go out on the road, trucks overturn. It's not just about, it's all right, I'm a great driver, Well, all right, what about all the other idiots on the road? I was on I-80 or someplace, I don't know where I was. A FedEx truck driver had a heart attack, and just in like a Die Hard movie, a heart attack where jammed his foot on the accelerator, couldn't have jammed it on the brake, jammed it on the accelerator, plowed into a bunch of people. Right? Whenever you're out and about doing things, everything is on the line. It might be your brain, it might be your girlfriend's credit, it might be your relationship, right? Touring is war. We had an outbreak of spinal meningitis during a tour. And I was out to dinner with the guys from Jägermeister and some other people. I'm like, so we win. Spinal meningitis, we win. And somebody kicks me under the table. And the other guys at the table were from a band called Drowning Pool, whose singer died on the road. So there you go. Inspirational coffee cup number one. Stop blaming anybody for anything. Right? There's no point. There isn't some kind of meeting next Tuesday afternoon where heads will roll. Right? If you're in a situation where you're talking about having a meeting where heads are going to roll, your head's already rolled. The thing rolling around and circling the toilet bowl is your career. In the shredder, up in flames, down the toilet, up the spout. You have to make everything your responsibility because you are surely going to pay the price. Right? Is that an inspirational coffee cup? Or do I just sound like your dad? You will surely pay the price. What was the website address for that porn site again? Aim low. Get high. I know you're with me there. And what I mean by that is be humble. It's fine to have ambition that's up here, right? You have to have ambition that's up here. But the way you get there is down here. Some guy in my book said, how can something be beneath you when you're on the bottom? I'm like, I'm going to put that in my book. Wrote on a napkin. I was lucky enough to be at the Great Wall of China at the end of '06. What is that? One of these 7 wonders of the world. It's magical. It's amazing. It's unbelievable. It's like, I don't know how many miles. It's really long. It has, I think, 15 McDonald's. That's how long it is, right? Just to give you an idea. And so you stand back and you're like, well, how on earth did they do this? It's amazing. And then the construction guy in me, the drummer guy, says, well, it's one brick at a time. It's just a pile of bricks. You just put one brick on top of the other. I mean, it's a lot of bricks. You know, okay, you got me there. It's an awful lot of bricks in a really long pile, right? But that's how they made the Great Wall of China. No one, they didn't walk around going, well, how are we going to do it? Oh, God. They just started doing it. And that applies to your career and building success in the music business. I saw U2 play to 17 people. And I left early because they were crap. I'm like, no, I'm leaving. This is terrible. This band is going nowhere. And that's why you should buy my book, because I'm an amazing judge of talent. Okay, you with me so far? Yes. Expand yourself as you expand or try to expand your fan base. All right, so that's kind of like directed at bands a little bit, but accumulating diverse skills, that's aimed at everybody. You know, I'm starting to boil things down into some, you know, I don't know, little educational t-shirts. Aim low, get high. My son just got a letter from school for wearing that. But you need to accumulate the skill of accumulating skills. I was at a seminar at the Belmont School in Nashville, and the guy who produced Megadeth's last album was asked what teachers could tell their students to do to make them better in a studio, other than working in a studio. And he said, unhesitatingly, work in a pizza parlor on a Saturday night. And I stood up and I clapped, and I sat down because it was just me. But I thought that was brilliant because, if you work in a pizza parlor on a Saturday night, maybe it's really busy for a while and it's really quiet. Maybe you had a gig on the Friday night and you're tired. You're like, oh my God, half an hour and this is over. And then a busload of drunken lunatics comes in and they're all ordering like 9 things and it's like whiskey breath. Whoa! And the guy who ordered 3 pepperoni pizzas is like, I didn't order any pepperoni pizza. Yeah, you did. Let's watch the security tape. Pepperoni. That's you. It doesn't matter. You can't prove to the customer that they're wrong, right? You have to acquire the skill of dealing with difficult people. And if there's a skill you need working in a recording studio, well, my God, that's what. I spent half my creative life running interference, trying to prevent the engineer from getting the largest glass ashtray in the studio upside the head. The guitarist is out of his mind on something. So, work in a pizza parlor, right? I met a guy in Indianapolis. He liked my little pizza parlor story. And he said, well, you know what? I went for a job in a studio. And there was 5 engineers up for this job in the studio. He got the job. Do you know why he got the job? Huh? Yeah, that would be great. And yes, no. There's no such thing as a wrong answer, but I think that was one. The skill that he had that got him the job was aquarium management. Yes. Because every studio, except mine, I've got lava lamps, but every studio has a little aquarium because it relaxes you. It chills you out. Brings the pressure down. Unless it's full of dead, rotting fish, then it's a bit of a bummer, you know. Yeah, no, Mariah's not coming in today. She's really bummed out. You know she's a vegetarian. It was like a bloody fish Auschwitz in there. Yeah, no, now you're going to have to pay for the hotels and everything. Yeah, it's shot. The producer wants more money. So I kind of went on this tack of like, all right, well, what other skills can we acquire that will be useful? You want to work with a metal band as a guitar tech? Well, how many great guitar techs are there? 1 million. All right, well, learn some Portuguese or some Spanish, because those bands are always in South America. I don't know how they do it, but they always are. So you might just be a mediocre guitar tech, but that little bit of Portuguese or Spanish, you could solve a problem. When all of the tubes blow in the lead guitarist's ridiculously large, self-indulgent guitar room. You want to work with the Rolling Stones? Yes, I hear you cry. Spend time working with the elderly, the incontinent. But here's the thing, every skill that I know of is like up for grabs. I nearly crashed last week. I was watching this guy on one of those billboard stands at the side of the road, and he was unfurling one of those huge paper billboards and gluing it with one hand, unfurling it with the other, and I think he had like a beer in each pocket, you know. And look, what an amazing skill. Bye. Because all of those billboards are changing into electronic billboards. Used to be someone wanted to do a 500 billboard campaign across the country. These guys were like, okay, you better order 10 more buckets of paste because it's on now. We're going to get this done in like 2 months. We'll have all of those billboards done. Now it's like 500 billboards. Okay, and what next? We'll just change them. That skill is gone. Skills are appearing and disappearing rapidly. So if you have 10 skills, when these 2 over here start to become redundant, well, maybe 2 of your other 8 are like, wow, becoming increasingly valuable. And because you have 8 other skills, you're not going to be freaking out, right? And because you've acquired 10 skills, it's not that much more work. It's 10 or 20% more work to acquire another couple. If you only have 1 skill, you're screwed. And when that skill starts to slide down the slippery slope, you're going to have to acquire another skill while you're freaking out. It's not a good idea. So, yeah, you're... But, here's, I think, a very interesting point. it's one of my screens from later, but if you can totally accept, I mean accept the fact that you are completely screwed, totally, then you're not. If you want to sit there and go, what's this guy on about? I'm not. Genius. Things are looking good. If you want to deflect it and rationalize that fact away, then you are. If you understand that you're, then you're not. If you think that you're not, then you are. Join with me on the chorus. Here's one of my favorite screens. It's a strategy, right? I wondered what happens if you draw a line from Minneapolis to Texas. How many of the top 100 markets in the country are west of that line? 17. So here's a strategy for a band or promoting any product. Don't go west of that line, right? It's not a sexy kind of strategy. It doesn't involve drugs or an ex-member of Pink Floyd or recording on an island or some time zone irrational whatever. It's just common sense. You stay east of that line, everywhere's close together. Your next show is 80 miles away instead of 950 miles away. And one of the reasons I like that screen is I've been doing this since 1979. Nobody ever showed me that. I know agents that don't have maps. Use the 5-pointed star inward-facing crush technique, which is that. And yeah, it's really good. It's for a really important show, which for some reason we chose Cincinnati. You know, so this philosophy comes with its own little bag of acid. But there's a movie on YouTube of me explaining this like that, like a Tarantino kung fu movie. So I'll just move on. Okay, now what is he talking about? I don't know of any football team in the country that is poorly prepared for anything, right? I drive around the country, I'm listening to, of course, the radio stations I least want to listen to, which get the best reception, right? So it turns out to be Rush Limbaugh and John Tesh. Actually, John Tesh has got some really interesting things to say. But I'm listening to the sports teams on college radio. And they're prepared for everything. They know when they go to play another team, they know which direction the field is facing, where the sun is going to rise, if they're going to say a few words to the opposing team's quarterback. What are the best words to get him the most upset? Does he have a problem with his eye, his retina, his knee, his girlfriend, drugs? Bam. Bands, on the other hand, anybody in the music business, I had a band drive from Chicago to Los Angeles, 2,200 miles, to play the Whiskey A Go-Go. I'm like, why are you playing the Whiskey? It's a pay-to-play venue. They just wanted to play there. Look, it's not the Whiskey A Go-Go you think it is. It hasn't been the Whiskey A Go-Go you think it might have been. For 15 years, I know, because I used to buy drugs from the waitress at the cocktail lounge next door. But they had to drive all the way to LA to stand on stage and go, well, this is crap. This PA sucks. I can't imagine a sports team doing that. So yeah, jocks rule. There's a baseball pitcher. He takes his laptop into the dugout. Like he's like, okay, these next 3 guys, what are they most likely to do? Forget New York City and Louisiana. Oh, that's LA, sorry. Moved to Boise. Really nailing it now, aren't I? Moved to what? Okay, can we leave? Can we just go? Will he see? If we sneak out now, will he see us leaving? This is just big fish, small pond. That's all it is. I just happen to prefer move to Boise. And here's why. Everybody seems to want to move to LA or New York to succeed in the music business. It's a fantastic way to put your in the shredder. There's just too much competition. And so I did a bit more investigation. New York City, this is the Village Voice, actual size. Actually, that's it. There are 1,272 reasons nobody cares about anything you're doing in Manhattan. In LA, there are 1,792 reasons nobody cares. It's great if you want to do live sound for 10 bands a night. But move to Boise. There's like 11 things a week. You could be like a hero. You could be a superstar in Boise. Meet all the bands that come through there and start up a business and then take it someplace else. All of my little rules are flexible. You know that line from Minneapolis to Texas? That's like the Berlin Wall. It's like the invisible electronic barrier that protects our country from illegal immigration. You don't cross that line unless you're getting radio play in LA. They cross that line. You pour gasoline on the fire, wherever the fire happens to be. Momentum is king. Wow. Okay, we did that. Do you want to sing along with it? Or we'll move on? Some specific stuff. You want some specific marketing stuff? We did 10, aside from the fact that this artwork sucks, right? You have the 3 or 4 most important ingredients of any promotional campaign. Partial nudity, a gun, drugs, and a turntable. Combined to create nothing. But we did 20,000 of those discs. Color, cardboard sleeve with a screen printed CD in the thing. How much did those 20,000 discs and sleeves cost the tour? Well, if they cost $1 a piece, that would be $20,000. If they cost 50 cents a piece, they cost $10,000. But they didn't cost the tour anything. I billed $36,000 by doing 20,000 promotional CDs. And we did it we called up KMFDM. They had a release on a major label. And I called the guy from the label and said, hey, I'm doing 20,000 promotional CDs. You want to put a KMFDM track on there? Yeah, $3.5 grand. Great, do I wire you the money or send you a check? She just said $5 grand. Tanzwort are a band from Germany. Their manager was delighted to put a track on the CD. So now we have a package tour that we put together, and because we're treating this like warfare, to try and be more sure of the outcome, created 20,000 promotional CDs. We're more sure of the outcome. We're taking responsibility. We're not relying on a promoter. I don't know why promoters are called promoters. I call promoters door openers. I have great relationships with lots of promoters across the country, but they don't promote. They open the door of the venue. And as long as they do that, they've done everything we need them to do. But we're taking responsibility for all of this. But just as my head hits the pillow, I'm high-fiving myself, right? We did it. 20,000 promotional CDs at no cost to the tour. We actually made a profit. am I now hoping that every promoter across the country is going to stay up all night with a Sharpie, neatly writing all of the information? Of course they're not. So we went and bought 20,000 Avery labels and 4 ink cartridges and 10 pizzas and 4 cases of beer, and we had a 2-day stickathon fest. And now we don't have a big pile of 20,000 CDs. We've got 50 small piles of CDs, each individually labeled, that needs to be kept separate. It's like, this is more and more work, right? This is a crazy amount of work. It doesn't matter. You can do that. You can make 20,000 CDs